I've listened to Moondance by Van Morrison for a few months.
And I listened to it once yesterday.
Welcome to Spin It. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Spin It, the record ranking podcast for people who'd rather be listening to music. I'm James, and with me is Connor, you, my brown-eyed co-host. Do you have brown eyes? I don't think you have brown eyes.
What? How do you not know what color my eyes are? We've been doing this podcast for almost 4 years? Full years?
Yeah, almost 4 full years.
Don't know what color my eyes are behind the virtual screen.
But we don't even use video. Like, this is just me with audio, and I know I've seen you plenty of times in my life for many, many hours. I just don't really...
You should know.
I probably should, but I just made reference to the Van Morrison song, right? Brown Eyed Girl. I was just doing a bit, but I don't know if your eyes are actually brown or not. But I don't think they are.
I am indeed a brown-eyed Connor.
Really? Whoops.
Yeah.
You could be lying to me, and that'd be really funny.
I'm not.
You, my brown-eyed Connor. Well, how about that?
Yeah, they're brown. People say it's because I'm full of shit.
Well, they might be wrong about why your eyes are brown, but I don't know about the rest of it. They might be closer than you think. We are in our minivan era. I call it the minivan era because we did Van Halen last week. We've got Van Morrison this week. So it's not really a full-sized era. It's a mini era because there's just 2 episodes back-to-back. And a minivan is already a thing. It's clever. Let me just pat myself on the back real quick. Now, this was an album that got recommended to us by the audience, yes? You are the one that told me about it. You were the one that received this recommendation.
Yeah. I was telling somebody about the podcast, and they recommended this album.
Yeah, and I was excited to dig into it. I don't know, prior to listening to Moondance and stuff, I didn't know a ton of Van Morrison. However, Brown Eyed Girl does hold the distinction as the very first song I learned how to play on the guitar.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a few simple chords. I didn't even know the song at the time, but my guitar teacher introduced me to it and said, you could play this. And so I learned it then. And so Van Morrison has been a very key part of my musical journey despite knowing very few songs and no albums until I put this one on the list. And it was not exactly what I expected in a lot of ways. And in other ways, it was exactly what I expected. There were some songs on here that surprised me. How much Van Morrison do you know?
A fair bit.
Okay. How many of these 10 songs did you know? Because these are some of his most popular of all time. A handful.
You always want to know.
Well, yeah, I'm always just curious.
Yeah, I knew 1, 2, 3, 4 of them.
Okay, the Van Morrison versions of 4 of them. There's one song in here that's come up before.
Yeah. Oh, I know what you're talking about, yes.
Exciting. We'll get into that. So you actually probably were maybe more familiar with Van Morrison than I was.
Well, considering apparently you knew nothing about Van Morrison until this album and one song.
I know. Well, not a lot. Yeah, but I figured since we had someone request it and since I knew him a little bit, but not much else, this was a perfect pick for the year of discovery. Had to discover him. And now I know a lot about Van Morrison. More than I ever expected to.
Fair enough.
Would you care to know more about Van Morrison?
Give me Morrison.
More?
Give me more Van Morrison.
Okay. I think we tried to make that into something different than it was, and it wasn't. First of all, he's a knight. He's Sir. Bet you didn't know that. I didn't know that. But he's Sir George Ivan Morrison. Van is short for Ivan. Yeah.
Just chop the I off.
Van Morrison took out his I and moved the middle name to the front, and he became Van.
He said, there's no I in Van.
There is an Ivan. George Ivan Morrison. He was born in Belfast, Northern Ireland, on August 31st, 1945, like 2.5 months away from the end of World War II. Yeah. Van's dad worked as an electrician, but he had a huge record collection. Apparently, literally quantifiable as one of the largest record collections in the country. He picked it up when he was traveling in Detroit, right? He liked the Motown records and stuff like that. So young Van gets a lot of Motown influences, right? He gets jazz and soul and R&B. He's listening to Leadbelly and Solomon Burke and Ray Charles and Muddy Waters and Hank Williams and Woody Guthrie. All that kind of stuff is influencing young Ivan. In his adulthood, he would say that if it weren't for guys like Ray and Solomon, I wouldn't be where I am today. Those guys were the inspiration that got me going, and if it wasn't for that kind of music, I couldn't do what I'm doing now. That's cool. We've done Hank Williams, but we haven't done any of the others yet in episodes. I've been eyeing up Woody Guthrie, been eyeing up Ray Charles, Muddy Waters, and Leadbelly's been on my radar forever, but it's hard because he doesn't have albums, really. But I aspire to get to all those artists someday and have episodes about them. Little Ivan got his first guitar at age 11.
Little I.
Little I. Well, that's funny because that's the only part of his name that he doesn't use.
Yeah. Well, he grows up into Big Van.
Well, maybe we just recycle the joke. Maybe he's just Minivan at this point.
Oh, no. Well, maybe he's Big Eye or Minivan.
That's good. Yeah, great. Minivan gets his first guitar at age 11, and he starts to learn chords and play skiffle songs, right? Skiffle is that shuffly type of almost like British pop rock. John Lennon did it in the early days. Remember, we talked about it on the Beatles episode forever ago. But little 11-year-old Van, he'd start his own band within a year, and he would bop around from group to group over the next couple years. And in addition to that guitar, which everybody plays the guitar, come on, Van wanted to be unique. He took up the tenor saxophone and the harmonica as well, added a couple wind instruments to his repertoire. Talented kid. At age 17, he finally landed in a group called the Monarchs. They actually saw enough success to take them on tours across Europe. And Morrison's first recording experiences actually came while they were on tour in Germany. The Monarchs recorded a single that ended up charting over there a little bit. But when they came back, the group disbanded and Van just went back to his window washing jobs and kept his eyes peeled for another chance at music. That new chance came from an ad that he saw that was seeking R&B musicians for the grand opening of a brand new club. So he showed up with another couple guys from other local bands, and they formed a little group called Them, which is funny, but I think that's a bad band name.
Yeah.
Them. Because now we have to say things like Them did a mix of covers and originals and spontaneous improvised songs in their sets. Them were getting pretty popular. You know what I mean? Like, you can call them Them, but then that's too many it's too many hard THs. Either way, what happened was Them got the attention of a record label and ended up with a 2-album deal. Them, it makes me feel grammatically incorrect. It makes me feel like I'm deliberately just trying to sound ridiculous. Them was able to tour America, and Van really cut his chops and started to stand out as a singer and as a performer, kind of becoming the frontman. The band's producer said, "Hey, I really like your stuff. What if you made a solo record for my brand new record label?" And Van was like, "Sure, man. Why not? Why wouldn't I make a solo record for you?" Well, always read your contracts, kids. Always read things before you sign them. Van did not pay the closest attention to his new contract, and he recorded 8 songs that he thought were going to be little tiny singles, right? Things that they'd spread out and release one by one over a period of time. But suddenly, he had friends reaching out to him and saying, "Hey, man, love your new album." He said, "Hey, thanks, great. What new album? Like, what are you talking about?" It turns out the label went and did that, made a whole album of his songs without any kind of his input, any kind of his permission. Like, very Monkees-esque story.
Wild.
Yeah, that is a rough thing to happen. What if, like, it's like if someone recorded us talking for 2 hours and then put out a podcast without our knowledge? It probably wouldn't be a very good podcast.
I'd be impressed.
It'd be impressive. Yeah, it would. Craig's about the only person that could do it. He's prime suspect. But that accidental album, that surprise bamboozling by the label, was the way that the world was introduced to Van Morrison's all-time biggest hit, Brown Eyed Girl. Still his biggest hit to this day, I would argue, I would contend. It spent 16 weeks on the charts, and it would eventually go down in history as the most popular song of the 1960s, at least by some metrics. I think it's a sales and radio play metric, but I'm not 100% sure. Either way, it's no small feat. Today, Brown Eyed Girl is in the Grammy Hall of Fame, and it's Rolling Stone's 110th greatest song of all time. So, obviously, that catapults our guy Van Morrison to superstardom, and he ended up in another bad record deal with his label. I can't believe that he didn't pay more attention for the next go-round, but he had to deliver 36 songs over the course of a year, and he said, "Fine, if you want 36 songs, you're going to get 36 songs." And so he sat down with an out-of-tune acoustic guitar, and in one sitting, he just cranked out 36 songs where he sang about sandwiches and diseases and just garbage. And he turned that into the label and said, "Contract's done. See ya."
And they said, "We're going to release it."
Well, they didn't for a while. They obviously were super duper in the vault for a long time. But nowadays, you can find them. They're known as the Revenge songs. And they came out on some later, deluxe edition box set collectors something. They're out there. But once Van was free from that contract, he was able to sign with Warner Brothers and put out his first intentional album, Astral Weeks. It was a very major commercial flop. Van says he was starving literally at that time. He just couldn't make any money off of it. Critics over time have mellowed on it and come to love it, but at the time it was way too niche and way too new for the general audience, the general public. And he's riding the wave of that flop. He's like, man, I got to do something good. What do I do? And his answer to that failure was Moondance. His third studio album, and another of his most famous, it came out in 1970, and it's really cool. It's a new direction for Van Morrison. He had recently moved to Woodstock, New York, where Bob Dylan and the band were living. He was really captivated by Bob Dylan. He would actually stare wistfully at Bob Dylan's house whenever he would drive past. I can only imagine just the longing. Oh, to be Bob Dylan.
I do that with the Mixtaper.
Yeah, every time you walk past his door to the Untrue, just staring there.
Yeah.
Man.
To be him.
It may be easier than you think, but who's to say? So, Van has his Bob Dylan inspiration. He's got to change the scenery. And he's also operating with the knowledge that he needs to, make money, right? He can't do another flop. He decides to bring a little more mass appeal with Moondance. He said he wanted to make music that was a little more accessible, something people would buy, and not Astral Weeks. He said, I make albums primarily to sell them, and if I get too far out, a lot of people can't relate to it. I had to forget about the artistic thing because it didn't make sense on a practical level. One has to live. So he kind of abandoned artistry on Moondance, which is funny because it still feels like a very artistic leaning, not the most mass appealing album I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I haven't listened to Astral Weeks yet. I can only imagine what that sounds like, but I'll have to check it out after this episode. I'm really curious about it. He did a lot of the recording for Moondance in New York with new musicians, including a very robust horn section, and he liked to do as much of the album live as he could, including and especially his vocal takes, and he produced the album basically by himself. He said that no one knew what I was looking for except me, so I just did it. A real, if you want anything done right, you have to do it yourself attitude on this guy. He said, when I go into the studio, I'm a magician. I make things happen. Whatever's working in that particular space at that particular time, I take advantage of. And I will say, I do think he really juiced the most star quality possible out of all 10 of these songs. I think he's done a really expert job at that. Moondance was sent out into the world on January 27th, 1970, and it was much more immediately sellable than Astral Weeks. It was sort of Van Morrison's instant redemption arc. It cracked the top 30 in America and the top 40 in Britain. Moondance would also go on to be Van Morrison's first million-selling album. Down the road, Pitchfork would say that it solidified Van Morrison as an FM radio mainstay, acted as a midwife for the burgeoning genre of soft rock, and helped usher in the 70s in America, where the beautiful hippie couples of the 60s would soundtrack their developing newfound domestic comfort with the sweet sounds of Morrison's mystical love anthems. Basically, the hippies are growing up, and the acid rock isn't working for him anymore. They need something else. So Van Morrison's kind of like soft rock, contemporary pop sort of style is just what the old hippies need. I mean, the first song's called And It Stoned Me. Of course the hippies love it. Into the Mystic, come on. Crazy Love, it's an old hippie album. By 1996, couple decades on, Moondance was 3 times platinum in America, and it's seen several reissues throughout the years that have kept it selling at a pretty slow and steady pace. Van Morrison, he's kind of one of those catalog artists that is always going to sell pretty consistently, even though he doesn't have constant major hits, right? He doesn't have big spikes in his sales, but he's got a pretty steady flow. So that's Moondance. And obviously, that's still pretty early on in his career. 3rd album ever. Still plenty to talk about later on in his life, but as usual, we'll just hit the highlights. His 1971 album, Tupelo Honey, is another one of his most well-known. Another one that I had heard of outside of listening to him ever. And he's had plenty of other really strong singles over the years, including Warm Love, Gloria, Wavelength, Bright Side of the Road, Have I Told You Lately, Real Real Gone, many, many more. He's been busy. Van Morrison has put out a grand total of 45 studio albums to date, and he's done 7 live albums. That's a lot of music. A lot. And as for his awards and accolades, he's got plenty to show. He's got 13 major awards on 25 nominations, including a Lifetime Achievement Award for Songwriting from the Americana Music Honors. He's won 2 Grammys on 7 nominations. His wins were for Have I Told You Lately That I Love You and Don't Look Back. He has 2 songs and 2 albums that have been inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. Gloria and Brown Eyed Girl are the songs, and then Astral Weeks and Moondance are the albums. So, like, even your commercial flops can still be Hall of Fame worthy. Never give up on your dreams, even if everyone says they're bad and you starve to death while you make them. Van Morrison has earned a Brit Award on 8 nominations. He's also got an Ivor Novello Award, a Q Award, and he was nominated for a Mercury Prize for Album of the Year. In 1993, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He made the Irish Music Hall of Fame in 1999, which feels really late. I mean, you're the Irish Music Hall of Fame. He's Van Morrison, but he's in there. He made it into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2003. So that's more Van Morrison for you. Hope that satisfied your cravings.
I want Morrison.
You want more? Still Morrison? This is a bad joke, and we just keep doing it. I'm just going to let you know right now.
Yeah, I know. It's absolutely a real bad...
Somebody out there's going to roll their eyes the first time we do it, and then it's going to keep on coming.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be like, please, Van Lessenson.
Stoppison.
How about Nunnison? Van Morris, none. Anyway, I can't help you with that. I can't give you more information about Van Morrison. I've given you everything I have to give, except I know someone who can.
Cannison?
No. Gosh, this is the same thing we did with Christofferson. Stop. It's literally the same joke. Let's get the Mixtaper out here and see what he knows instead. Surely he's got 4 new things.
Hey, it's me, the Mixtaper.
Oh, hello, Mixtaper. How are you feeling on this lovely evening? It's a marvelous night for a Moondance. Or so I've been told.
I do enjoy the moon, and I do enjoy dancing.
We had a whole moon era.
It's a good era.
Yeah. Do you enjoy dancing? I've never seen you dance.
Never seen me dance?
I don't think so.
It's because I'm a private dancer.
Nice! Wow, what a call. Tina Turner callback. Didn't I see you dancing at Uncle Louie's polka party? Anyway, enough about dancing.
And now you want to get into...
Whatever joke you're about to make, I hate it.
We ready to learn 4 new things about Van Morrison?
Good, he gave up on it. Yeah, I'm ready to learn. Connor was asking for 4 new things, so I hope he's listening close.
Oh, yeah. He actually left.
Oh, he left?
It's a shame he's going to miss out.
Man, I'll have to tell him all the new things when he gets back. Or I'll just listen to the episode when it comes out.
Yeah, he left mumbling something about having to go check his car. Parking meter was running out.
Oh, that's bad. Does he park at a meter? You're at home, right? He parks at a meter when you're at home? That's expensive. Oh, poor guy.
Yeah, he just wants to be more like Van Morrison. Hopefully he'll come back, though.
He wants to be... This seems like a hint. He wants to be more like Van Morrison and park at parking meters.
Yeah, well, Van Morrison once abruptly left the stage mid-concert and never came back.
Did he leave the stage mid-concert to go refill his parking meter?
He sure did.
What? Wow. That's awesome. So... if he wants to be more like Van Morrison, and that's why he's doing it, this seems like one thing we can't tell him, because he already knows it.
I just needed an intro. I don't know what he left to do.
Oh, okay. It was just you lied to me already.
Yeah.
We're starting off on a bad foot.
I spun to you already.
Touche. So he leaves in the middle of a concert.
Yep.
What's the venue that he's parking outside at a parking meter?
It was a performance he had in San Francisco.
I see. But they don't have parking for him at the venue? Like he doesn't take public transportation somehow? I mean...
No, it was a very disorganized venue, and it irritated Van Morrison.
I see. So do you think he really needed to go refill his parking meter? Is that what he said? Because he was annoyed.
That's what he said. During a saxophone solo, actually, he started muttering about a parking ticket trap and walked off stage.
Oh, wow. How far into his show was he? I mean, are we talking like 3rd or 4th song? Is he doing his encore? Surely it's, pretty far into the evening, right? Surely he paid the meter for a close to correct amount of time.
Yeah, I don't know how far into the show he got, but he left to feed the meter and never came back. The band played on for a few awkward minutes waiting on him to come back, but eventually had to end the show without him.
But he never did. So what happened then? Does he say, he goes out to pay the parking meter. What causes him to not come back? Is his car towed? Does he have a ticket? Does he just leave? Like, where did he go?
He never really commented on it.
That's bizarre. Is he a habitual concert leaver? I know he sometimes has a bit of a temper.
Yeah. Apparently he told the saxophonist to keep vamping while he checked the meter, but just never came back.
No way. It's like he forgot. This is so interesting. Also, of note, this is the side note here. This is the 801st question of Factor Spin.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'm coming off a shutout.
You sure are?
So I better get some points this time, I hope. I think leaving the stage mid-concert, It seems like a Van Morrison thing to do. And I think that's a bad excuse. I think that's not a real reason. I think Van Morrison lied to us. But in as much as you're telling me this story, I think you're telling the truth. So I think this is a fact.
Going with fact.
Yeah, I think so. I think that it's a little suspicious that his name is also a car, right? Van. And he had to put more in the parking meter. Don't think that I'm not thinking like that.
Oh, okay. Are you locking in fact?
Yeah, I'm going to lock in fact. But I just know that I am going to be a little annoyed if you just did it because his name is Van.
This is a fact.
It's a fact. Oh, wow. Thank you, Van Morrison.
With an asterisk.
With an asterisk? What's that mean?
Well, that means you gotta read the fine print.
Was the fine print say this is a spin? I don't like that.
That'd be really funny if it did.
What's the fine print say? I can't see it.
Hey, don't be like Van Morrison and not read your contract.
Oh, I know.
You gotta read the asterisks.
Well, I'll deliver you 36 revenge songs about sandwiches and diseases. See how you like it.
The asterisk says this is very hard to corroborate.
Okay.
But I did find the story, but it's uncorroborated.
Okay. That's fine. I think that is fair. That's an interesting fact.
So fact until proven otherwise.
Fact until proven guilty. The Van and the Moore thing was scary, so I am a little bit relieved.
I really wish that it was a spin because of that. I didn't even think about the Moore aspect, like needing more money for his van.
I mean, it's right there. I wouldn't put it past you.
Yeah. Our second thing to learn about Van Morrison. Van Morrison's biggest fan is a border collie.
Oh, a border collie. That's cute. Is it his border collie?
No.
Does he have a dog? Because that's insulting if he does. Some other border collie is his biggest fan? Oh my gosh. Who's the border collie?
His neighbors.
His neighbors are border collies? How'd they get a house loan?
Man, early 2000s, the banks would loan to anybody.
Oh, man. Yeah, I guess so. Who are his neighbors' border collies? Like, how can we tell they're fans?
He got very clear energy patterns from their barking.
Clear energy patterns from their barking? This is some kind of into the mystic fact. What did they bark like? What did they bark at?
He just said that he struggles to understand people, but communicates better with dogs, and frequently sings to his neighbor's border collies, and they seem to really like the music.
Okay, got it. Like the opposite of what Noah Kahn's dogs had going on, where they just bark anytime he started singing and tell him to shut up.
Yeah.
This is Van Morrison's got a good dog.
When the interviewer asked how he knew that they liked it, he said he found clear energy patterns in their barking.
That's wild. And he says it's his biggest fan.
Well, that was more for the title.
I see. He's just got big fans that are border collies.
Yeah, he's just got some border collies that give clear energy patterns that they like his music.
I see. I think this one's a spin.
Spin.
Yeah, I'm going with spin. Now, apart from the fact that just saying the dogs have good energy and they like me, apart from that being a little bit hard to co-sign, I also am a little suspicious because aren't they called border collies because they're good like sheep dogs? You know what Ireland has a lot of? Sheep. I don't know. Just suspicious.
Okay.
Just suspicious of the border collie as the entity in this.
Okay.
He's an Irish guy. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't know dog breeds. Let me just clarify. Let me put an asterisk by that. I don't know dog breeds. I might be making that up. I might just be never heard that in my life, and I'm just thinking it. But I still think it's a spin.
Locking that in?
Absolutely. And swallowing the key.
This is a Van Morris spin.
Oh, buddy. Yeah, it is. Dogs hate him.
But this is something that has gained a little traction online as being like people think it's real, but it's not real. What's the word I'm looking for?
A lie.
A myth. A myth?
A myth? A rumor?
It's a Van Morrison myth.
I see. Why? Why would this gain any traction?
It seems like one of those things that like somehow got misquoted or whatever, and then it kind of grew and spiraled into this minor myth.
A myth. Border Collies love this man. The internet's talking about it. Okay.
So there, I debunked a Van Mythison.
Yeah. Oh, the Border Collie was originally developed in Scotland.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, you kind of nailed it.
Okay. People also ask, are Border Collies Irish or Scottish? I'm not too far off. I gotta have a little more faith in myself.
Yeah. For not being a dog guy, you were barking up the right tree.
Nice. I was being herded in the right direction.
Well, let's herd your way backstage to see Van Moron
Van Moron. I think you're forgetting an ISO.
Yeah, he once sued his former tour manager for accidentally printing Van Moron on the official backstage passes.
So they forgot the...
Well, maybe accidentally isn't the right word, but
Oh,
go ahead, ask your questions.
on purpose then, huh?
Kinda, yeah. Really, yes. Not really, kinda.
What, is he feuding? Is he fighting with his tour manager?
Yeah, it was meant to be a petty joke because they were kind of having a bit of a tiff.
Oh, a petty joke turned into a
legal case, yeah.
firing, a lawsuit.
Yeah, Van Morrison did not take it lightly.
Again, I think he's got a bit of a temper.
Fired him and filed a small civil claim for intentional defamation and emotional distress.
Wow. So he put this on backstage passes? How many of these did they give out?
It just says a batch of internal backstage passes.
Oh, internal too. Not even stuff they gave out to fans and stuff. That's weird. What was the result of the lawsuit? Did he win?
They settled out of court.
Ah, makes sense. Van Moron. That's funny. Oh, it's so mean.
It's really mean.
Well, what set off his tour manager to do this? Was there some inciting incident? Just a little prank?
Yeah, I don't really know what started the feud, but apparently Van Morrison details it in one of his biographies.
Van Moron. And did he do it Moron, like moron? Or did he add the second R and just lose the ISO to make it look more like a typo?
This has it spelled just as one R, but...
Okay. Van Moron. That's... Oh, man, I want to believe this.
I want to believe.
Here's the two options here.
Okay.
1, this is true, and what you said is a fact.
2, it is not true.
Well, correct, but the implications of 2 are that you just saw his name and said, I wonder if I can get him to believe that he was called Van Moron. Like, that was probably your thought process.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And that's something that your brain cooked up. And either way, somebody's brain cooked it up, and that's really ridiculous.
So you're trying to decide who was mean to Van Morrison, me or the tour manager?
Yeah.
Who's bullying Van Morrison?
Who framed Roger Rabbit, but who defamed Van Moron? Ivan Moron is his full name. I think this
Ivan Moron.
I think this has got to be a fact. I think this is a fact.
It's like his evil doppelganger. You got Van Morrison and Ivan Moron.
George Ivan Moron. That's the 3 names like a villain, yeah.
Sorry, did you say fact? Did you lock in fact?
Yeah, I think I'm going to lock in fact here.
All right. This is a Van Morris spin.
No, you're the one that bullied him.
I'm the bully.
Van Moron. You really did just look at his name and say, I can get rid of these middle letters. That's wild.
I really did just go, I wonder if I can get him to believe Van Moron.
Well, I did. That makes me a Van Moron. Van Morrison, if you're listening. I almost literally just said Van Moron. Van Morrison, if you're listening. I'm so sorry.
So that prevents the shutout, right? So this is for 50-50 or for your win?
This is, yes, 50-50 or a win for me.
All right. Van Morrison has some strange songwriting habits.
Songwriting habits. Stranger than like Sting standing on his head?
No, probably not.
No, okay. But some, though. What's he do when he writes songs?
Yeah, well, there was specifically a time that he wrote an entire album in a single night after locking himself in a church.
Wow. He wrote a whole album in one night in a church.
In a church with some interesting things to keep him company.
What does that mean? What's keeping him company?
A saxophone, a loaf of bread, and a jug of red wine.
Wow. A jug? That's an interesting unit of wine. A saxophone, hold on, just a saxophone and a loaf of bread?
And a jug of red wine.
I just mean, he's not like using a guitar. He's not like using there's probably an organ or something in the church, right?
I mean, there's stuff in the church probably. But yeah, it just says that he locked himself in a church with a saxophone, a loaf of bread, and a jug of red wine and wrote an entire album.
That's so weird. And he did this in one night. Why did he do this? What was the motivation? Was he like, I'm sick of writing all these albums in my home or studio with a kitchen and access to food?
With normal bottles of wine.
Right, like a real person.
Yeah, I don't really know what inspired him to do it. Just that, well, I guess maybe this. I mean, he was up against a deadline.
Okay, yeah.
That doesn't really explain why he chose a church
No.
and those items.
Maybe he needed a little inspiration, a little divine intervention. A divine intervention.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
You also had divan in there instead of divine.
Oh, divine intervention. Honestly, thinking about it, probably the wine came in jugs because it was already at the church and used for communion. And so was the bread.
Oh.
If I'm thinking about it, maybe he just went to a church and got lucky that there was food and drink in there.
Maybe. That's a fair point.
Maybe he was like, dang, it's like 4 a.m. I'm so hungry. Oh, the sacraments. Like, maybe that's how this came about. Because it's a weird choice to do that. So maybe it was just a circumstance.
When asked if he would write future albums that way, he said, no, the only cathedral I need now is rhythm and blues, for whatever that's worth.
Okay. All right, buddy. What a weird answer. Vancer.
It's just like someone's like, so you just wrote this album in one night in a church with some weird items. You gonna do that anymore? Like again? And he's like, no. Why would you ask that? What a ridiculous question.
Right. What album is it?
It's called The Philosopher's Stone.
You can't trick me. That's one of those Harry Potter books. I mean, it is, I think. I've never read Harry Potter. I'm a muggle, but I could see it.
It's an impressive 30-song album.
30 songs that he wrote in one night?
Yeah.
Are they all really long? They can't be really long.
One of them's 8 minutes, but the rest of them are decently normal length. Oh,
Wow.
also one of them is 9 minutes. So he's got an 8 minutes and a 9-minute 21-seconder. But the rest are decently normal length.
When did he do this?
1998.
Wow. This is a hard one. That's a really wild fact. I guess I'm going to say this is a fact. I think it's true. Obviously, he's a man who can write a quick song, right? The Revenge tracks kind of prove that, even though they're not good songs. And we've talked about people who have done like writing retreats before, who have sequestered themselves away for one reason or another. I could see that being helpful to just focus, like fully focus on it for one night. And a deadline makes sense. He clearly could use a little closer inspection of his contracts. So I could see him accidentally getting up against the wall and needing to focus and getting hungry in the middle of the night and being in a church where there's bread and a jug of wine. Honestly, all the pieces weirdly fit together. So we'll call it a fact.
This is a asterisks.
But it's a fact with an asterisk, right?
That means you gotta check the fine print to find out.
Ah, come on. It's just a normal, this is a asterisk? Like you don't even tell me if it's a fact or a spin until I check the fine print?
Yeah, you got to check the fine print.
Well, I don't have anything to read. You're going to have to just tell me what the fine print says anyway.
Well, this is like a 60-page contract here, so let me, it's going to take me a minute to find the answer. So, how about I just come back and give you the answer later and you continue on.
I don't like that. Oh, man.
We'll just leave it on this cliffhanger for a moment, and I'll pop back in once I've found the right page that has the answer.
Wow, that's brutal. It's for the 50-50 or for my win. Ugh.
And until I find that answer...
No.
Yeah!
Well, I hope he gets it right, I guess.
Hopefully he's not just leaving and never coming back.
Oh my gosh, maybe his parking meter. Hey, this is Connor. Welcome back, Connor. Brown-eyed Connor. I don't know what color the Mixtaper's eyes are either.
Dastard.
They're dastard colored. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll get that answer to factor spin later.
Maybe he's got like those storm gray eyes that people in like sci-fi books have.
Oh, that's cool.
Because he, took clouds in college.
Nice. Well, let's get on with the show, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess.
Let's talk about this album cover. It's a lot of Van Morrison looking that way in many different angles.
And then that way, and then that way,
and then this
that
way. Yeah, right. That's so funny. Just 4 or 5 pictures of him in his home.
The sideways one is wild.
Yeah, and for that to be the big one, like, I guess his face fits better in that than the other ones.
I guess it's so that even if you turn him sideways, like turn the album sideways, he's still staring at you right side up.
Unless you turn it the other side, rotate it a different 90 degrees.
Oh, no.
It is kind of a surreal, strange album cover. Why did they do this? Why'd they choose this?
I don't know. What do you think each of these facial expressions convey?
They're mostly the same.
Yeah, but like one's looking more up, one's looking more down and at the side, head tilted.
I think if I'm going through them, from on the left side, top to bottom, we have somebody just told him something that he already has heard 800 times today. Then the next one, he is sitting at his desk at a boring office job.
Oh.
The one below that, he has just received bad vibes from the border collies for the first time.
Oh no.
The bottom one, he is eating a sandwich. And then the horizontal one, he is constipated trying to work it all out.
It's interesting that you went the sandwich route for the last one, because I went a sandwich route for pretty much all of these.
Like he's mid-chew in all of them.
So for me, the first one is like him looking across the way and seeing the meatball sub stand
Oh, okay.
and be like, I want a meatball sub.
Yeah, at the meatball sub stand.
Yeah.
Very niche kind of stand in the world of your imagination. Like when you really need one on the go, like right now. Thank goodness on the street corner.
Yeah. And then the second one is him in line watching his meatball sub get made.
Oh, he's approaching, yeah.
He's like standing there watching it, like he's like, yeah, extra marinara sauce.
In the queue. Because so many people are queued up for the meatball sub sandwich.
He's like staring, he's worried they're gonna run out of the Parmesan cheese. He's seen it's getting real low. He's like, don't you run out before I get mine.
Is that the third one?
No, that's the second one still.
Still the second one, okay.
Yeah, the third one is he's eaten the meatball sub and now he's sad he doesn't have another meatball sub. He's like, oh, I wish I had a second meatball sub.
That's unfortunate.
He's like, he's reliving the memory of eating that meatball sub.
Mm-hmm. One ball at a time.
You can see the longing in his eyes.
That's true. It's a marvelous night for a meatball sub.
The bottom one is him being like, oh no, that meatball sub ain't sitting right.
Oh.
And then the sideways one is him constipated on the toilet.
So we agreed on one thing.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's sideways because he's laying down with his tummy ache.
And the big lesson that this album art is trying to convey, don't trust the meatball sub stand.
No, it's a shady place. It's clearly a money laundering scheme. Ridiculous. Yeah, well, I can tell you more about the album cover, and I can maybe provide insight into why it is like this a little bit.
I already told you.
Well, there's other reasons. The photographer for this cover was Elliot Landy, whose other work includes Bob Dylan's Nashville Skyline and a few others. It includes the band's first 3 records. It includes Janis Joplin and Big Brother and the Holding Company's Cheap Thrills. He's done work for Clapton, for Hendrix, plenty of other albums. He's an iconic photographer, actually. And for Moondance, Elliot Landy's primary objective was to hide the big fat pimple that popped up on Van's forehead the day before the photo shoot. They said, okay, cover shoot today. Who's ready? And Van Morrison's like, not me. I have a big pimple. And he said, not to worry. We can just put your face on here 4 times and cover up your forehead very conspicuously.
They didn't consider a traditional Native American headdress?
No, I don't think it even was considered at all. I don't think.
What about hat?
Hat would have done. Yeah, that would have done the trick. Big old pimple. That's so funny.
It's really funny.
It's just a weird album cover. It just doesn't fit this album at all. It shouldn't be on any album. No album should look like this. If it was a band of 5 guys, okay, sure, put them each in a little square like this. This is just one dude 5 times.
Pretty great.
It is what it is.
5 times as many dude.
5 times as much dude. There's Morrison of him.
They put one of them up there and they're like, Morrison! And then they put another one, Morrison!
I figured it out.
Uh-oh.
His initial, V. The Roman numeral for 5, V.
Oh.
So V Morrison, that's 5 Roman Morrisons.
Yeah. I was also contemplating saying that this was the Moondance. This was like...
Oh, like the steps to the Moondance? And it's just with your neck and eyes?
Yeah. Listen, the Moondance is a dance from the soul conveyed through the eyes.
Goodness. What does that even mean? Is that something you've ever heard? Or did you just say that? Because it's a really funny saying.
I just said that.
Ridiculous.
Listen, sometimes I just say things.
Yeah, that's true. All the time you just say things.
I would argue the majority of my life is me just saying things and then being surprised when I say them.
Yeah, reasonable.
We've talked about that on the podcast, I feel like.
We sure have. Well, let's talk about all 10 of these tracks.
Let's do it.
Up first, And It Stoned Me.
Talking about Medusa.
Oh, yes, she stoned me, turned me into stone. Not quite.
Maybe he's trying to turn someone into stone in this album. He's like giving them the glares.
Oh, he's trying to practice his Medusa look.
Yeah.
Not enough snakes. Yeah, And It Stoned Me. Recorded in 1969. It's a summer song. It's a nature song. It's about getting high off nature. Now, whether stoned he's talking about in like a weed sense or like a drunk sense, we don't know. At least I don't know. I don't think he's very clear about it. But he's talking about how he gets high on life. Nature and the world around him is beautiful. Now, most of these albums we've talked about lately, I feel like we say a lot this album has a good opening to the album. Like, it opens the curtain, it leads you in gently.
Uh-huh.
Not so for Moondance, and It Stoned Me starts like a kick in the shin. Like, it's just voice. He just sings instantly.
Yeah, he does.
And it's jarring. It's startling almost.
But I still think the song in general is a decent opening to the album. It's just the opening like beat is a bit jarring.
Like, a literal intro second, yes, is, whoa, okay, guess we're going. And it gets me every time. Van Morrison said the song was about his childhood. He said, I suppose I was about 12 years old. We used to go to a place called Ballystockert to fish. It's a very Irish name. He said, we stopped in the village on the way up to this place, and I went to this little stone house. And there was an old man there with dark, weather-beaten skin. And we asked him if he had any water. He gave us some water, which he said he had got from the stream. We drank some, and everything seemed to stop for me. Time stood still. For 5 minutes, everything was really quiet, and I was in this other dimension. That's what the song is about.
Awesome.
It sounds like a song about 12-year-old Van Morrison getting drugged by a weather-beaten stranger in the hills.
It really does.
I mean, that quote is a little suspicious. Man, half a mile from the county fair. Well, I mean, there's some really good imagery here. He really paints a picture. Hands are full of the fishing rod. That's the is a weird inclusion. Hands are full of the fishing rod, but okay.
Well, he wanted to be clear that there was only one.
It's
the fishing rod.
The fishing rod, and his hands are full with it. And it stones him. The water stones him to his soul, like Jelly Roll. Jelly Roll Morton, the jazz singer. Not Jelly Roll like the Little Debbie pastries. I will admit, I mean, it's very vivid imagery, very real experience type stuff, but some of the lyrics, like the fishing pole one, this one, while we were getting dry, almost let a pickup truck nearly pass us by. Almost and nearly together in that sentence. It doesn't sound very natural, does it?
No, it doesn't.
That's fine. We looked at the swim and we jumped right in. Not to mention fishing poles. Like, you've already mentioned fishing poles. I don't know. Curious lyrics, but it's a lovely nature song.
It's like, wait a second.
Yeah, and it's fun to sing along to. Oh, the water, oh, the water. Like, what a good hook. And the brass, I love the horns on And It Stoned Me. It really kind of does, I mean, again, opening second's jarring, but it does really provide a good example of the soft kind of pop that the rest of the album's going to be. That brass-laden folk, that's kind of nice. And up next, It's a Marvelous Night for a Moondance. It's a title track. Yeah, buddy. Now, Moondance obviously named the album, right? But it took him 7.5 years to put it out as a single. Moondance didn't come out until 1977. And when it did come out as a single, it hit number 92 on the Hot 100, and Rolling Stone named it the 226th greatest song of all time. So, what a delayed hit from Moondance. Mm-hmm. And I think it's one of his most frequently played live songs to this day, even more than Brown Eyed Girl.
Oh, wow.
I know, right? AllMusic says that Moondance is one of those rare songs that manages to implant itself on the collective consciousness of popular music, passing into the hallowed territory of a standard, a classic. I think it is about as close to a classic as this album has on it.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about being commercial and selling more albums, Moondance is the way to do it. It's kind of got a good swing to it, doesn't it?
It is. It's got a great swing to it. Classic.
Yeah. It's jazzy and stuff. It's a fantabulous night to make romance. Like, fantabulous. It's fantabulous. Can I just have one more Moondance with you? Cute. It's a little bit of a euphemism for, dancing in the moonlight. It's a good autumn song. He talks about the cover of October skies and the leaves on the trees are falling to the breezes, and Van Morrison claims fall is his favorite season. He wrote the song while he was living in Massachusetts. He said that he and the band were messing around and riffing off of a Broadway tune called Lazy Afternoon, a little show tune, and they were making some changes and mixing it up, and that's what evolved into Moondance, which is why it has so many of those kind of classical show tune overtones, right? It's all the DNA is there. He said, with Moondance, I wrote the melody first. I played the melody on a soprano sax and I knew I had a song, so I wrote the lyrics to go with the melody. And he said, I don't really have any words to particularly describe the song. Sophisticated is probably the word I'm looking for. He said Frank Sinatra wouldn't be out of place singing it, and I think that's true. In fact, I wish Frank Sinatra had a chance to cover Moondance. I think he'd do it really good justice.
I agree. I just really like the saxophone and the piano on Moondance.
Yeah, it's really good. I think it ends up being one of my favorite songs on the album, just by virtue of the swing of it. It's really cool. Unique. And then another song that the ballad guy will love, one that we have talked about before by your choosing. Crazy Love. Do you recognize it? Oh, also, did you know Moondance beforehand? Was that one of your 3 or 4?
I sure did. Yeah, I've known the first 3.
Wow. Okay. But yeah, Crazy Love, I know you knew because you brought it. Michael Bublé, his whole album was called Crazy Love. We did that for episode 52. Whose version do you think is better? It's a hard question.
I'm a huge fan of the Michael Bublé version, so...
I know you are.
And I knew that version first, so I may be a little partial.
Well, you knew it first, but Van Morrison wrote his first. He's the original songwriter, so
yeah.
Michael Bublé stole it.
Well, I recognize that without Van Morrison's version, there is no Bublé version, but I like the Bublé version better.
That's, fair enough. I don't even remember what we said about it in the Michael Bublé episode, but it's such a sweet song.
It is.
She gives me crazy love. She's got a sense of humor when I'm feeling low. I come to her when the sun goes down. Take away my heartache in the night like a thief. Man, it's so good. I can hear heartbeat from 1,000 miles. Like, every lyric is a really sweet one. That little walk down melody of it never gets old. It's timeless. It's another moment where I think this album presents us with a classic caliber song.
I do think Van Morrison sings it better.
Wow, than the buttery voiced Michael Bublé?
Yeah. But I think I like Michael Bublé's arrangement better.
Interesting.
I know. There's just something very authentic about Van Morrison's version.
Yeah, I like Van's version better, personally.
Like, Bublé's maybe sounds a little... like, it feels like a cover.
It does. I think Michael Bublé's version feels a little stiff to come back and re-listen to it after really getting familiar with the Van Morrison one.
Wow, interesting. I don't know if I'd go that far, but...
Oh, I just did. Plus, Van's got these background singers. He's got a really light, high, falsetto kind of voice going on. Good stuff.
Sure. It is good stuff. I like both versions. I think the instrumentation on Bublé, I really like his instrumentation.
I think I like it less.
Like I said, I recognize that I'm probably biased because I knew Bublé's version first. That's what I became accustomed to.
Yeah. Well, we can agree to disagree. Or we can disagree to disagree and resolve this right here, right now. But probably the first way is better.
Yeah, I think we should agree to disagree.
Good deal. Who's got that kind of time? You know what I like? I like the way that we come off of the slow ballad Crazy Love and then pop right back up with Caravan, a song that doesn't, at first, like the title Caravan, doesn't make me think it's going to be at all like it is. Caravan, I don't know. I think of roaming around through the desert and I don't think of it sounding like this. But boy, Caravan's cool. It's another big live hit and Caravan's got another cool story. Van played Caravan with the band during their Last Waltz concert, which we talked more about on episode 124. That's exciting. Gotta love Caravan. La 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 la, la 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 la. Did you know Caravan? Or are we into songs you don't know yet?
Nope, we're into songs I don't know.
Okay. Have you seen West Wing?
Yeah.
Okay. The song is featured in season 3 of West Wing.
Is it?
Yeah, Caravan's in there.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It's also got famous covers by Hozier and Counting Crows, who actually performed it at his Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony.
Oh.
So you might have heard it those places too.
It is in this episode.
Yeah.
Ah.
It's like, I know you've been exposed to Caravan.
Yeah. I guess I just didn't recognize it.
Yeah. Well, the term gypsy has largely been phased out, which is great. But that's pretty much what the song's all about, right? This nomadic family that travels from place to place. It romanticizes the radio and listening to music by the light of a radio. Turn up your radio and let me hear the song. Switch on your electric light. I think it's a very comfortable feeling song.
It is.
And it's still kind of got that same walk down pattern that we saw in Crazy Love. Instead of love, 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 he sings la, 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 la. But otherwise, it is kind of like a funhouse mirror image of Crazy Love before it. Not quite the same, but obviously made of the same stuff. I think he hits some crazy notes in Caravan and stuff. Like, to know that he sang most of these as live as possible, man, he's just so impressive. He really gets up into the high range there on some of them, and he belts them out. They're so well sung. That's really striking on Caravan.
The La La La's are just kind of so earwormy.
Yeah, they are. Not his only set of earwormy La La La's on this album. Kind of a thing he gets good at. Honestly, that's a big thing Van Morrison does. I'm thinking back to even Brown Eyed Girl. Sha-la-la-la-la-la. Like, it's everywhere. He's just a syllable kind of guy.
He is.
So when someone takes a syllable out of his last name, you better believe he's going to be mad about it. But then we move halfway into this album with Into the Mystic. Probably the last track you knew, yes? Maybe?
It sure is.
Of course. Great hit. One of my favorites. A Van Morrison all-timer. It's about embarking on the spiritual journey of transformation and growth, setting off into the mystic. And man, it sounds good. That acoustic guitar is so gentle and like easy. It's just what this song needs. You're about to set off, and so it builds you into that journey. And he also kind of built the lyrics to have two separate readings and interpretations kind of simultaneously. He said, Into the Mystic is another one like Madame Joy and Brown Eyed Girl. Originally, I wrote it as Into the Misty, but later I thought that it had something of an ethereal feeling to it, so I called it Into the Mystic. He said that song is kind of funny because when it came time to send the lyrics in to Warner Brothers Music, I couldn't figure out what to send them because really, the song has two sets of lyrics. For example, there's I was born before the wind and I was born before the wind, like B-O-R-N-E. He also said, also younger than the sun, ere the bonny boat was won, like one O-N-E, and then one W-O-N. He said, I guess the song is just about being part of the universe. And in fact, later he gave another quote that said, people say, what does this mean? A lot of times I have no idea what I mean. And that's what I like about rock and roll, the concept. Like Little Richard, what does he mean? You can't take him apart. That's rock and roll to me. So Van Morrison doesn't even know what he means on Into the Mystic. He dove into the mystic of his own brain and came up with this hit song. Rolling Stone called Into the Mystic the heart of the album, and they deemed it the 474th greatest song of all time. So that's cool. That's a hit. What did you think of Into the Mystic?
Into the Mystic might be one of my favorite songs on the album.
Might be one of your favorite on the album? Well, there's only 10. What constitutes one of your favorite? Top 3?
I want to call it my favorite, but I'm not confident. So that's why I said might.
Okay, it's just up there.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. There's a good chance of it being the favorite.
Reasonable. It's like the nature imagery of And It Stoned Me, combined with the magical edge of Moondance. Kind of roll it into one and you get that one song.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it.
Thank you. And it's just got a good drive to it. Like, it's not a fast song, but it's not a slow song. Just a good groove. In fact, here's a thing I learned about Into the Mystic. Apparently, since it's so chill, a lot of surgeons listen to it while they operate.
Wild.
Yeah, I know.
That's a cool fact.
That is a cool fact. So probably a lot of people hear this song when they're unconscious on anesthesia.
Dude, I can see it too. Like when you get to like the 3-minute mark and it starts doing the horns start going dun dun dun. Like I just imagine now a surgeon just be like snip snip suture.
Yeah.
Just like they do the surgery to the beat of the song. They're just like grooving.
Hopefully they don't do that. I'd want a lot slower of a song if that's what they were up to. Wow, Together We'll Float Into the Mystic. It is really the heart of the album, and I think the halfway point is a really smart place to put it. Just let the album do a natural bell curve to its climax, and then we kind of fall off of it for the back half, which I would say is probably not as strong as the front half, but that's okay.
It is not, but that's okay.
Yeah, the first track in that back half is Come Running, the B-side to Crazy Love, and also the only song that Van kept around from his stock of Astral Weeks demos. I guess Come Running didn't make the cut then, and then he decided to put it here anyway, but it's the only song that survived that process. I think Come Running, it's probably the song that I like the least on this album.
Really?
Yeah.
But I like the horns on this one, the saxophone.
Well, yeah, but I like the saxophone everywhere.
I do too.
I don't think it's bad by any means. I just don't think Come Running to me is as strong of a hook as anything else on this album.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Plus, the rhythm is not as intuitive.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at what could be my least favorite.
There's a lot of other stronger tracks.
Yeah, I'm kind of stuck with Come Running.
Yeah, see?
That's a shame.
Yeah. Van said, the song is a very light type of song. It's not too heavy. It's just a happy-go-lucky song, and there are no messages or anything like that. And I think that's another reason it kind of feels like it falls a little flat for me, because so far we've had a lot of really deep-ish kind of songs. Songs with a lot of meaning and a lot of emotion and imagery, and songs that aren't what I would call happy-go-lucky, songs that are moving. And Come Running just kind of doesn't live up to that standard that he's already set for us. It's the shortest song on the album.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I enjoyed the saxophone, it does feel like it's lacking a little bit in other departments.
Yeah, and if it's good horns you want, wait 2.5 minutes and then get to These Dreams of You, which also has a great horn part. Do-da-do-da-do-da-do.
It does, but, the harmonica, right?
Yeah.
That kind of overshadows everything.
Yeah, it also does.
The horns are great, but give me that harmonica. Something new.
Yeah.
7 tracks in.
It is something new. You're right. That is the first time we've really seen the harmonica in any kind of prevalent way, at least, if not at all. 7 tracks in.
It's hiding a sneaky harmonica. 7 tracks in.
That's good. I think that's a good way to freshen up the album here. These Dreams of You, fun fact, started off as a nightmare. No joke. Van said that it was the result of a dream I had about Ray Charles being shot down, which he wasn't, right? Ray Charles wasn't shot down. That's just a dream that Van Morrison had, and he woke up and he was like, whoa, oh my gosh. So he said that started off the whole song. He said the song is basically about dreams, and he changed it. Obviously, these dreams of you, like the idea of dreaming about Ray Charles is where it started, but it clearly changed to be about a lover.
No, now I just assume this whole song is about Ray Charles.
This whole song's about Ray Charles?
Yep.
Oh, you hurt me deep down inside, Ray Charles. My back was up against the wall and you slowly just walked away. You never heard my call. That's really funny. These dreams of you, so real and so true. I mean, kind of it is about Ray Charles. He was shot down, but he got up to do his best, and you slapped me on the face. Woof. I just like the groove of it. I like the swing of These Dreams of You. Kind of gives me the energy of Moondance in its like tempo and rhythm, but slowed way down. And, you know, nice. These Dreams of You is a nice feeling song.
It is. It was nice that he could write a whole song about Ray Charles.
Yeah. Up next, another candidate that's down towards the bottom of my list.
It's a brand new day. And now that he's done dreaming about Ray Charles, it's a brand new day.
It's a brand new day. He's waking up from the dreams into a brand new day. This is one that I also don't ever think sticks with me particularly much. But it's a nice slower ballad, a very pretty piano song, but it's long. It's the longest song on the album, 5 minutes and 10 seconds.
Yeah, this is the only other contender for least favorite.
Yeah.
But as a ballad guy, didn't feel right putting it at the bottom.
No, and he's got such good like chorus vocals on Brand New Day too. There's some good instrumental breaks, and it's a happier song. Come Running is about nothing, and Brand New Day, Morrison said it expressed a lot of hope. He said, I was in Boston and having a hard job getting myself up spiritually. Then one day, this song came on the FM station, and it had this particular feeling and this particular groove, and it was totally fresh. It seemed to me like things were making sense. I didn't know who the artist was, but it turned out to be the band. I looked up at the sky, and the sun started to shine, and all of a sudden, the song just came through my head. I started to write it down right from When All the Dark Clouds Roll Away. And he said the song was either The Wait or I Shall Be Released. So he heard the band on the radio and wrote Brand New Day about it. It feels hopeful, feels happy. The lyrics on this one probably lift it out of the least favorite song position easily over Come Running, which is just kind of flat. Up next is track 9, Everyone, or as Van Morrison would call it, Everyone. Makes me very cognizant of the fact that there are actually 4 syllables in the word everyone, and we just shorten one of them. Does that bother you? You ever think about that?
No, actually, I think I prefer it.
You prefer everyone?
Yeah.
But that's a whole extra syllable you have to say every time.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like depending on the situation, I sometimes say everyone.
If I'm really trying to emphasize it, everyone, but I would hardly ever really just say it like that.
Everyone.
I'm going to start doing it like the Van Morrison song. Maybe I'll just sing it.
Everyone, watch out for the meatball sub stand.
Yeah, really. No doubt. It is the fastest song on the album. It's in a weird 12/8 time signature. Not a lot of 12/8s that we talk about. And it's got that awesome clavinet intro. How do I feel about that?
Is that what that is?
Yeah, it's a clavinet.
Are you sure it's not pronounced clavinet and only Van Morrison calls it clavinet?
Clavinet. Everyone plays the clavinet. Says Ivan Morrison. It's very rigid with the syllables.
Ivan Moron.
No, he would never call himself that. That's just the mixtaper being a bully. Man, what do you feel about the I-I-I-I-I's? It's another he just goes into syllables again. Instead of la-la-la's, it's I-I-I. He just picks a different letter. Well, la's not a letter.
Yeah, well, it's just, he felt a little bad that he kicked the I out of his name, so.
Oh, he's putting him back.
I thought he put it here.
I. I, Van. Yeah, I think the rest of the song is kind of fine. I mean, Play the Pipes and Dream. It's just, as Van Morrison says, it's just a song of hope, and that's what it is.
But then he plays the pipes. Is that not a flute or a piccolo or something?
Well, I mean, a flute is a pipe in shape.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
What are you saying? I think we're saying the same thing.
Yeah, I'm saying I like the flute.
Oh, me too. I think it's cool. It's a nice little Play the Pipes and Drum song. It's a happy little ditty. It almost feels like a song that's older than its time.
Yeah, it makes me feel like the title of the last track.
Oh, it makes you feel glad tidings?
Yeah, it just feels like what you hear at the beginning of something.
No, you're very right. That's pretty true. But glad tidings is what you hear at the end of this album, which is kind of funny. Kind of a good bidding farewell, I guess. It's another fast song, too, which is really interesting, isn't it?
A spin!
Oh, you're here now?
Hey, it's me back with I finally found it. It was on page 42 of the 60-page contract for Factor Spin.
Well, glad tidings to you, Mixtaper. We had one song. I thought this was going to come back in final spin or the outro banter, but
I thought about making it wait till the outro banter, but that felt wrong.
yeah, I'm glad you didn't wait any longer than you had to. I'm glad as soon as you found the answer, you showed up.
Well, of course. I mean, it's in the contract. I have to give you the answer as soon as I have it.
Right, so Factor Spin, you said Van Morrison has some strange songwriting habits. He locked himself in a church overnight with bread and a jug of wine and wrote his entire Philosopher's Stone album. I said that's a fact. You said it's an asterisk, which none of us know what that means, but you went through the contract and you found out whether this is a fact or a spin.
Yeah, the asterisk says 50-50, which means this must be a spin.
Whoa. What?
Yeah, the fine print had said that this round had to be a 50-50. When you signed up all the way back on episode 1, when you signed the 60-page contract, there was a asterisk that said that episode 202 had to end in a 50-50.
Well, that's not, I didn't.
Should have read the fine print.
I really Van Moron to this one. So that's a spin then. That's not true?
It's a spin. It is not true.
Really? Well, what is it?
It's a spin.
Like, why did you come up with that? Why did you think of it? Why is it here?
I don't know. Why not?
Why not? Just because. Huh.
Yeah, I mean, he's known for writing giant, long albums in short time periods. And
yeah, but 30 songs overnight is a bit much. I honestly should have seen that coming.
yeah, well, to be fair, I randomly went to his albums and picked one I knew you hadn't listened to, since you said you weren't that familiar with Van Morrison.
Oh, you mean all but one of the 45?
And then the one I picked happened to
be
a 30-track album.
enormous.
I was like, oh, well.
Well, Philosopher's Stone kind of makes sense in a church, doesn't it? I don't know. I guess I get that.
Yeah, well, that's why I picked it.
It's wise. Very philosopher-y of you.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for that.
Yeah.
Thanks for telling me I lost halfway through the episode.
Yeah, next time read your contracts better.
I'll do my best. Well, glad tidings to you. Let's get back to talking about glad tidings.
Also, while we were doing all that, I decided I was going to change my name to the Mixtaper.
What? That's just what your name is.
No, I took the I out.
Oh, okay. Like Van Morrison?
Yeah. So now I'm just Mixtaper.
That's great. Took your eye out. Yeah, I'll take your eye out.
Yeah, it's like what is it, Christmas Story or whatever? Which
yeah, the Christmas Story where
you'll
shoot
your eye
out. Yeah. Van Morrison shot his eye out. You shot your eye out.
Anyway, I'm out of here. I've overstayed my welcome. You need to wrap this episode up, so
yep.
Goodbye,
Mixtaper.
Yeah.
Well, glad tidings is up last. Just found out I'm a big loser.
Dang.
I know. That's great.
Mixtaper just bullying everyone this week.
He really is. Van Morrison and I have that in common. We were both victims of Mixtaper bullying this week.
Dang.
Yep. Well, Glad Tidings is up last. It's a song from Van's time in New York City. He had an old friend in London, a bit of a pen pal, and he was exchanging some letters with them, and his London friend signed off Glad Tidings from London. So when Van replied, he replied Glad Tidings from New York City. That's the genesis of it. What a fun, fast song. What a cool bass line. I think it's a really happy way to end this album.
Yeah, I think it would have made a good intro track too, though.
Yeah, honestly, it would have. Maybe a better intro track than And It Stoned Me.
It would have been a better intro beat.
Yeah, but I guess it's less representative of what the album as a whole is.
Yeah, I don't know.
I kind of picture it as a credits rolling song.
Maybe I just like the thematic. Maybe I just like the theme of the title, Glad Tidings, kicking off the album.
Yeah, that's true. But I like he's sending us off with Glad Tidings. That's still pretty good. I think Glad Tidings sounds a lot like Brown Eyed Girl. Like, a lot. It's kind of the same energy. The guitar has the same tone. And you can even hear him kind of fiddling around with some of the same notes that made up Brown Eyed Girl as a part of the background guitar. In like the minute to a minute and a half mark, you can hear, very Brown Eyed Girl vibes. Couple more la-las in here for the Van Man. He's just doing what he does best. Rewriting Brown Eyed Girl and saying la la la. Also, you haven't seen The Sopranos, have you?
No. It's one I've always meant to watch.
Well, when you do watch it, and you watch your way up to season 5 and you get to the finale, you'll hear Glad Tidings. It's in there, so that's cool.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, without further ado, I think we should take these Glad Tidings into final spin. How about you?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Well, this was a good recommendation. First of all, let me just say, I really enjoyed this album. I really enjoyed this episode. It was really fun to learn about Van Morrison. I hope we didn't bully him too much. I really enjoyed it. I think there's a lot of really good music in here. Now, this isn't my normal kind of music. I don't have too many like soft pop, folk, Americana albums on my list like this, but there are some, and traditionally they don't always score the highest, but this one impressed me. And maybe it's because I have a little Van Morrison background. Maybe, I mean, these are just good songs, period. But whatever it is, I really think Moondance was a really cool album to know. Given the music in 82, with the exception of like Come Running and Brand New Day, all of these songs have their own little hook, and each one is an earworm in its own way. They're not songs I come back to a lot, but they're songs I remember very strongly, at least the hooks of them, and that's really powerful. Lyrics, I'm giving an 83. I like a lot of the lyrics, actually. His attempts to dive into the natural and the mystic, and really just, it's a down-to-earth album with its head in the clouds. I think Moondance really represents a lot of whimsy, but it does it in a way that's very grounded and, tangible, very, very cool. So 83 for the lyrics. There, our hands are full of the fishing pole and this and that. There's some lyrics in some places that kind of make me raise an eyebrow, but mostly inoffensive. 84 for the instruments and production. The horns are great, the harmonica's great, the clavinet's great. This is a chill album. It's a really easy album to listen to without being like easy listening in genre quotes. And he produced all of it himself. That's really cool. I mean, largely, he did a lot of the takes pretty live. I really respect that. 84, instruments and production. Overall vibe, 82. This album cover is atrocious. It probably does ding the score a point. It's just so bad. But the rest of the album, I really vibe with it. I think it's a really good introduction point to Van Morrison. I think this is a career-saving album. I mean, it proved to be, but clearly it is. It's quite a strong outing. For 1970, I mean, definitely I see how this album ushers in the 70s and really pushes the limits of this genre at the time. So, overall, I'm giving Moondance an 83.5, which ranks it very respectably at number 473, above REM's Murmur, and below Whoever's in New England by Reba McEntire.
Wow.
Yeah, top 475 for me. I am excited to go listen to Astral Weeks and some of the other stuff that he's done, and really just get a sense of how far this album evolved. Maybe I'd appreciate it more if I saw Astral Weeks and where it was coming from at the time, too. But that's me. How's Brown Eyed Connor gonna score this album?
Brown Eyed Connor's gonna give this one a brown eye score.
Okay. La 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 la.
Which I realize implies it could kind of be a crap score, but that is not what I intended, because I like Brown Eyed Girl.
Yeah, Brown Eyed Girl's great.
And I like this album.
This album's great.
Sad that song's not on this album.
Yeah.
But it's okay. I think more of his iconic tracks come from Moondance. So
yeah, this album is definitely a better one to do than the one that he didn't really make and accidentally discovered out in the wild.
Although that would have been a cool one to do, just for the history.
That's true.
Yeah, I also am glad this was recommended. Van Morrison's artist that like I said, I know several of his songs. Never really listened to a whole album. There's not a lot to hate on this album. It's just a feel good, it's just a vibing album.
Yeah, not a lot of sharp edges.
It's just kind of vibes.
Very smooth.
Yeah. Smooth like Tennessee whiskey.
Kind of, but maybe like Irish Guinness.
I'm going to give this one 8 asterisks out of 10.
Oh, do we get to know the unit later?
Yeah, you'll have to check the fine print for the real unit.
Now, is your unit just the symbol asterisks? Or is it the word?
Yeah, no, it's absolutely just the symbol asterisks.
Wonderful. Well, that's great. Where in the 8s is it going? You got a lot of strong 8s.
Yeah, it's oddly going. It's in a weird spot. I don't know if I ever would compare these.
What album are we going to get to compare Moondance to?
Gonna go right between Harry's House by Harry Styles and The Record by Boy Genius.
Oh my gosh. It's Harry Styles, Van Morrison, Boy Genius?
Yeah.
What a combo. Harry's House I can see some similarities between The Record and Moondance, right? I think I can draw that comparison decently easily. But throw Harry's House in the mix? That's a mess. Love it.
Yeah, but that's where it's going. My top 3 in album order. The only order they ever should be.
Yeah, that's logical.
And it stoned me.
Your top 3 are just going to be the ones that you already knew. But go on.
How dare you?
I'm just predicting. The reason you know them is because they're the best ones from this album.
And it stoned me.
Yeah.
Moondance.
Yeah.
Honorable mention to Caravan.
Not Crazy Love.
And Into the Mystic.
You really did love the Michael Bublé version better.
I did, and I almost went with Crazy Love as the honorable mention, but because I liked the Michael Bublé version better, and I was very enjoyed Caravan so much, I thought I'd bump it up into the honorable mention because I wanted to mention something that earned its way into one of my favorite Van Morrison songs.
Yeah, that's a very good, as Van Morrison would say, honorable mention for everyone.
My playlist pick is going to be Into the Mystic.
Into the Mystic is your playlist pick. Mine's going to be Moondance, taking a title track.
That's good. That's good.
Easy kind of pick, I think.
That was what I was hoping you'd pick.
But I wouldn't have been disappointed, honestly, with Everyone, or These Dreams of You, or And It Stoned Me. Maybe Caravan, but Moondance and Into the Mystic would definitely be my top 2 playlist picks. Well, that's going to conclude the minivan era. Isn't that fun? We did it. Thanks for tuning in to this 202nd episode of Spin It. If you want more, you can find us on social media at Spin It Pod Official on Instagram and at Spin It Pod on X. And of course, go to our website, www.spinitpod.com. Be sure to follow us wherever you listen to podcasts so you can get more episodes and go through the back catalog and find your favorites. Like and rate 5 stars and do all the fun things that you do.
Hey, tell a friend whose parking meter is running low about the podcast.
Uh-oh. Gotta watch out for that. Parking people have been vicious lately. I mean, you really gotta stay on top of your parking meters. They're all digital now. At least the ones near me are all digital parking. You gotta scan a QR code, which is ridiculous. But hey, we won't go all grumpy old man rant at the end of the podcast. It's fine.
Feels like you kind of are.
No, I'm just getting close to it, but we're gonna back down and say we'll see you next week for another album, another episode. You're gonna love it. We're gonna love it.
Will James go grumpy old man rant next week? Tune in and find out.
Will Connor get on my nerves by saying things like that? You don't have to tune in to find out. The answer is yes. We will see you next time. And until then,
keep spinning.
Okay, so now that the minivan era is over, what kind of car era should we do next? I don't even know how we do it. What other kinds of cars could we do?
We could do a truck era and just do a whole bunch of country albums that are like, I love my truck.
No, that would be insufferable. Good idea.
Yeah.
What about, maybe it just doesn't have to be cars. The van era was nice, but what if we just got into some other era next? We did Moon, we've done minivan. We had a brief 3-syllable album title era. I don't remember. We had an era not long ago.
We did. What about a meatball sub era?
I don't know if I want that after looking at this album cover.
Could do 5 of them.
5 meatball subs. If you want that to be your era.
We could just do a sub era, starting with like this one. With the meatball sub. Then we could do like Yellow Submarine and the Beatles.
And you're all out of ideas.
Yeah, I'm all out of ideas.
Well, there goes that.